Hai, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Hafiz from veteran Bangun Nusantara University. Now, I would like to present about process of speech comprehension, production, and acquisition. Aspect of psycholinguistics. Psycholinguistics is a study that concerns with the psychological aspect of language. It discusses the mental process that language are implicated in the comprehension, production, and acquisition of language. The process of speech comprehension. Comprehension refers to the mental process by which listeners take in the sounds uttered by a speaker and use them to construct an interpretation of what the speaker intended to convey. Speech comprehension is in fact an active process and not a passive one. Process of speech comprehension. The first is the construction process. Is the process in which the listener construct an interpretation of what they hear. And the second is the utilization process. The speaker talk for purpose such as to assert beliefs, request help, promise action, express congratulation, ask information, and etc. They convey their purpose in three separable parts of utterance: the speech act, the proportional content, and the thematic structure. Stages of memory. The first is sensory register or sensory memory. It has a time course measured in seconds. Second is short-term memory. It has a time course measured in minutes. And the third is long-term memory. It has a time course measured in days, maybe years. The process of speech production. Speech production involves how a speaker translates information and intentions into the language formats available in one language. How is speech sound produced? Human speech is produced by vocal organs as presented in figure below. The main energy source is the lungs with the diaphragm. The oral cavity is one of the most important parts of vocal tract. Its size, shape, and acoustics can be varied by the movement of the palate, the tongue, the lips, the cheeks, and the teeth. Process in planning and executing speech. The first is discourse plan. In discourse plan, the speakers decide what kind of discourse they are going to take part in. For example, they are going to tell story, to converse with other people, to give instruction, and etc. And the second is sentence plan. In this process, the speakers select the right sentence that's suitable with the discourse. In this process, speakers have three options to choose, such as proportional content, the illusionary content, and the thematic structure. The third process is the constituent plan. Once the listener have decided on the kind of a sentence, they then can begin planning constituent. In so doing, they have to pick up the right words, phrase, or idiom and put them in the right order. Articulatory program is the next process. After specific words and phrases are chosen, the speaker then put them into an articulatory program in working memory which is capable of holding all the words of plain constituent. The final process is articulation. This process is the execution of the content of the articulatory program that produce sound or speech. Stages of speech production. The first is conceptualization. We must conceptualize what we wish to communicate. And the second is formulation. We formulate this stuff into a linguistic plan. And the third is articulation. We execute the plan of the muscles in the speech system. And the last one is self-monitoring. We monitor our speech to assess whether it is what we intended to say and how we intended to say it. The process of speech acquisition. Language acquisition. Language acquisition is the process by which humans acquire the capacity to perceive, produce, and use words to understand and communicate. This capacity involves the picking up of diverse capacities including syntax, phonetics, and an extensive vocabulary. Language acquisition usually refers to first language acquisition, which studies infants' acquisition of their native language rather than second language acquisition, that deals with the acquisition in both children and adults of additional languages. Language development in children. The first is the babbling stage, the second is one-word stage or holophrastic stage, and the third is two-word stage, and the last one is telegraphic speech. Factors influencing second language acquisition. The first is motivational factors, the second is age factors, and the next is formal presentation factors, and the last one is first language factor. I think that's all from me. Thank you so much, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.